Yo, what's up, Bonehawks? Shujinkydink here. Welcome to a video all about Cetrion. So, we did this live on Twitch, so if you're not following the Twitch channel, links down in the description below. Usually stream about 9:30 p.m. Eastern times. I don't have a set schedule because I'm doing like 5 things at once to try and survive here. But anyways, this video is going to be a combination of teaching you how to beat Cetrion and teaching you how to play as Cetrion, because they kind of both intertwine. I talk about how one kind of complements the other, and the downside of this versus that. This is a really long video, obviously, as you've seen because you clicked on it. In the description there on the time bar, there should be some tags to take you to specific spots. So we basically went through and did normals, which are just like standing 1, standing 2, standing 3. I did strings like 4 2 3 4 or 2 1 3, then special moves, and then that's about it. Didn't cover her fatal blow, but I mean, just it falls from the sky and it does a lot of damage. And the tracking is really bad, so it is what it is. That being said, I hope you enjoy the video. If you're new here, consider subscribing because we make tutorial videos here. That's what we like to do. Hashtag Bonehawks and all that stuff. And yeah, this was streamed live, so I do kind of squirrel a bit here and there and go off into interacting with the chat. So apologies for that, but I did really want to try and stay on topic as much as I could so you folks on YouTube could enjoy the video. So also, I cover a little bit about the variation I'm using, which is what I've seen to be the standard, which is ground pound, teleport, and the tornado. I also talk a little bit about the Shattering Boulder. There's a whole section for that, and I also talk about why I don't use the buffs and why the Boulder Cancel is actually quite good. So that should all be down in the timestamps. So enjoy the video, guys. I really hope you do.
Accept your death.
So if we start kind of with her strengths, she really controls the neutral, like this area right here, with multiple moves. Only this stupid move. And you got the tornado as well. And one move that's kind of underutilized that I really like to throw out in this kind of range is her forward 1. Like if you look at how much range they has, it is a high, so like people can kind of poke under it. But if you use it in the right range, I mean, there's not any way that they're going to get anywhere close to there. So this area, which is a very strong area in this game, she just kind of dominates. The nice thing about forward 1 is it links into this string and it combos into Earthquake. So it's kind of like you can throw it out if you're trying to see, if you're seeing that like your opponent's like slowly trying to move in on you. You can kind of cut them off, and I've done this a couple times, and just hit confirm into the Earthquake, making sure that you have defensive meter available. If they block it, just cancel it and you're safe at -4.
You will join me
Or
after your death.
just complete the string. Word of warning though, would be that people can poke in between the hits of ground pound if they have a fast enough poke and you're doing it right in their face. So that is something to be aware of. But yeah, forward 1, really good button. Another one of her normals that's also really good is her down 4. This is almost a game-breaking move, I would say. It just allows her to low profile so many things that she really shouldn't. It's a little on the slower side, I think. 10 frames, but I mean, it does really lower her hitbox. Lots of strings and stuff like that. There's a Scarlet string, I think 1 2 4. She can low profile the last hit of that. And it's got ridiculous range for a sweep as well.
Yeah, that poke is so good.
It's
I
nutty.
abuse people in Combat League with down 4 rock wall,
Yeah,
just stuff like that.
big time. Hugely good, hugely good. Down 3 is good, but it's kind of the same thing, just a little bit less low profiling.
You
I don't
will
really
join
use
me
it
after your death.
that much. Thanks to Bastion and Brantley for the follows. Appreciate it, guys. It is slightly faster though, at 9 frames. And this is where we come to our first weakness of Cetrion, is her normals are actually fairly slow. She doesn't have anything 7 frames or faster. So there's a lot of situations and frame traps where she's really taking a risk by trying to mash out of it. So that would be one way to try and fight against her, is use a style like that where it's really hard for her to escape. Actually, Baraka, once he gets in on her, doesn't do too bad because of this. That a lot of his things are covered because, like a down 1, for example, 8 frames is as quick as she gets with something like that. using something like a down 4 that has like the low profiling ability but is slower, sometimes is actually a better option in those situations because it can go under some mids that it really shouldn't. Kind of stupid, and that's when I say it's game breaking.
I'm bristling with anticipation.
Ryu Dante, thanks for the sub, friend. Appreciate it. So that's basically, I think, all the normals that I kind of use. The other ones have their uses, but I mean, her sweep's actually not terrible. I use it a lot. It seems to confuse people. No one ever really sees it, and they're like, what the hell is that? Looks kind of like Rockwall, but with lava.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they see her sweep, like, don't necessarily recognize it for what it is, and it's almost as though they treat it, at least when I used it, because I used it sporadically, and I feel like they respect it so much more than they should. They'll respect it as if it's, like, as if they're expecting me to special cancel. It's really odd.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. It's got a bit of a forward hitbox, which is kind of nice, and she kind of moves backwards, so even though I believe, is it punishable? I can't remember. If they flawless block, it's minus 15, but I don't see anybody flawless blocking a random sweep like that, but maybe. I don't know. But it's nice, it's fun. Do you or anyone in the chat have any questions about her normals, or anything that maybe you've been trying to use that can't really find a use for, or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess while chat's, sort of pulling together some questions, just kind of getting into where I'm at with Cetrion. So at this point, I've played Cetrion more than anyone else since I've started on BD, which is kind of funny.
Nice.
And it's been fun. Like, I play her very differently than I expected.
Right.
And so I find that a lot of folks try to counter zone me, but I'm not trying to zone them. So it's sort of interesting seeing them like counter pick me as if I'm going to zone them, and I'm just not doing that at all, really. So they get a little mixed up there. But I think where I'm trying to improve is, I think she's really effective in sort of that level 2 range that you had, that you were talking about before, but I'm not exactly sure how to maintain that. When I'm there, it feels like I get up on people and then they just abuse the fact that I have an 8-frame down one, and they just start neutral ducking constantly and poking, just mashing pokes. And it's almost more difficult, I've found sometimes, to play against less experienced players than more experienced players. I don't know if you've had the same experience with Cetrion.
I mean, and that's been a thing with me for years, is like, it is so hard playing against somebody that doesn't fully understand the game, because you strategize around somebody understanding the game. My good example of this is my parents used to play Texas Hold'em a lot, and my mom had no idea how to play that game. So she would just place random bets, and sometimes my dad thought she was bluffing, and sometimes she didn't even know she had a hand. So it's like really hard to play against someone when they don't even know when they're winning. So it's and that kind of transfers over to fighting games as well. If somebody knows how to fight Baraka, it makes it a lot easier for me, because I can put my my mix-ups and stuff in if they are trying to abuse the gap. Same with Cetrion, same kind of thing. If they're trying to, like, say, read on that move or something like that. But if they don't know about that, it makes it kind of harder to get things going. And that's kind of where I rely more on throws and stuff. Get them to stop blocking.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that definitely makes sense. I think for me, one thing that I just didn't do enough of when I first picked up Cetrion that I found to be really effective is just using her backdash. Cetrion's backdash is unreal. It's so good.
Yeah, funny thing about that, I was doing some labbing with her to try and against Kotal Khan, and he's got a 1-2 command grab or 1-2 launcher, and Cetrion can backdash and avoid both options, so you never have to take that mix-up with Cetrion. And as soon as I found that, I didn't realize that it was just her that had that, so I went and tested it with Baraka. Yeah, no, that's not happening. I tested it with like 5 different characters, and she's the only one that was able to do that. So her backdash is unbelievable, and recovery on it's crazy. Kind of looks like she's like doing the backstroke. I don't know. And going from talking about one of her weaknesses and her slow normals to one of her strengths is like her movement speed is incredible. Like, her forward walk speed is nuts. Her back walk speed is a little bit slow, but she makes up for it with a crazy backdash. So you can kind of move in and out, and that allows her to control this space a lot more and kind of dip in and out of it. And that's when you're saying that you're having trouble maintaining that space, that would probably be something that I would kind of try and use maybe your backdash to always stay like just kind of out of that space, and then kind of come in, because she's got those long normals, the forward one. Even 1-1 by itself is incredibly good at covering distance. Like, the hitbox and standing one is, like, crazy.
Yeah, it's good. I want to use standing one a little bit more as well, just by itself. I use 1-1 a lot, but I don't do as much just like standing one and see how they react, stand one, backdash, stand one, and then just mix it up with like stand one rock wall. Basically, I turn into a bot when I play Cetrion, and I guess this is what I'm hoping to to fix a little bit.
Get away from.
Yeah, it's just so easy to get brain dead with certain characters, and once you find where they're strong, and with Cetrion, what I do too much of is I'm just constantly forward 2-3 tornado,
right,
and just leaning on that, and it carries you against a lot of opponents, but there's only so far I can go with it. So.
When you get to a higher level, like the top guys, you're going to start seeing people flawless block that, because once you learn like the flawless block gap there's really no risk to doing that, because the flawless block gap is so quick. You have to do it almost instantly, it feels like. That you can still kind of recover if she does something else, or block high if she commits to the full string. So definitely a reliance on that is something that I would go away from. I'm not saying like never use it, but I wouldn't rely on it. Like, she's got so many options, especially with rock wall, ground pound cancel. Again, I think people can poke you out of it, but if you're mixing everything up, they're trying to flawless block that, and you're going to smack them with a ground pound, or at least they're going to take away their, get something else going, I suppose. Or just complete the string. It's unsafe, but every once in a while you do have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting with forward 2-3, 4. I think that's the full string.
Yep.
And then 2-1-3 is the other string that ends in an overhead. I try to mix both of those up with ground pound, and ground pound cancel too, just to pressure them, especially people who don't have reactions like that. And I find that, of course, in Combat League, there's a wide range of opponents that you're going to face off against. A lot of them don't have a ton of experience against Cetrion, particularly up close, and they think that you're just going to throw boulders all day.
Yep.
And so I try to do a lot of or I should say, I'm trying to do more of 2-1 ground pound cancel into maybe like 1-1 tornado, just stuff like that, and just keep mixing it up so they can't get used to whatever I'm doing. But I keep defaulting to forward 2-3 tornado when I'm under pressure, and I've definitely noticed against better opponents, like, they pick up on that.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. It's and like I was saying, you start getting to the higher levels, you're gonna get people flawless blocking that. That's a good transition, actually, to talk about her strings. I'm gonna start with 2-1, as you were mentioning, because what makes this string really, really good is that it is actually a true 50-50. Like, you can kind of react to it because it's 22 frames, and I think 17 frames is where like your reactions kick in or whatever. But you can't fuzzy guard it at all. You have to pick one. 2-1 into that, 1 overhead, or 2-1 into the ground pound. Both 22 frame startup, so it is true 50-50. You have to either react to which one or read which one they're going to do. And that's why I like using it so much. But sometimes I overuse it, and then like I end up having no defensive meter, and I'm like, oh crap. Now I have no breakaway, nothing like that. So you do have to be careful, which I'm going to sidetrack a little bit and say, like, that's another weakness of Cetrion, is that you have to be very mindful with your meter, because there's things that she can't do if she doesn't have it. Like her her teleport. Teleport far away takes both of your defensive meters. And this is why I don't really use her buffs, because her buffs take away both her defensive meters, and she needs that for so many things. One bar.
Yeah, I've tried that. I've tried the water buff, for example, that's kind of like Aquaman's trait.
Yeah, I mean, for how few combos there are in this game, and like how long they are, it doesn't really seem that useful.
Yeah. I didn't really care for it. There were times where it felt pretty effective. But it's only for a few moments, and you're sitting there slowly rebuilding your meter. I'm not a huge fan. Drummer in the chat's asking about what tornado is on block.
Yeah, so that depends on where you are, largely. Like, right up close in their face, -3 it looks like. If you actually just throw out a tornado from here, it'd be +5. I think I can get to like +23 or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong, I can't remember. That might have been before a patch. I'm getting, I think +13 was as plus as I got. But in your face, I think -3 regularly, and I think it's neutral on your amplify. +1 on amplify, right. Oh, nerf tornado check. Yeah. Tornado is a good move. There are counterplays around it, but I don't really want to get into that quite yet. So I talked about the 2-1 and why the 2-1 is good. Forward 1-3, like I was saying earlier, that's kind of like your kind of range, read them coming in. Using this, if you use all the tools in tandem in this little area, she's really, really strong. It's crazy. Again, combos in the ground pound if it hits. Just cancel it. Say -4 if it doesn't. Good old OS, I tell you. Forward 2, same idea. You have a mix-up off the ground pound and actually committing to the string. This isn't a great mix-up, as like it's pretty easy to fuzzy, and the overhead is a full combo punish if they block it and they know how to punish it. That being said, it's important to check your opponent to see if they know how to punish it, because that could make that even stronger if they're not punishing it and you're getting away with it. Then, or maybe you're fighting a fellow Cetrion. That's a 1-frame punish. She has an 8-framer. So, I mean, hey, go for it, you know?
Yeah, I found, I almost find it difficult. I try to stay away from going for that mix-up too often, because sometimes the majority of my matches are Combat League, and
Right.
sometimes I just can't tell if my opponent knows the matchup or not. Like I don't know if I can show them the full screen,
You will
the full
join
string,
me
and if they're
after you're
going
dead.
to block as I expect, if that makes sense. You know, like they keep crouch blocking. Like I'll do forward 2-3 tornado and they'll crouch block that. I'll do forward 2-3 rock wall and they'll crouch block against that. So I assume that they're just going to keep crouch blocking.
Right.
But I'm afraid to go for the overhead because I don't know if they can react or not.
Right, yeah, that's definitely a thing. And sometimes you just have to commit. I mean, you gotta just make that read, and then all of a sudden they know there's an overhead, and then you have the ground pound. There you go, right?
Yeah.
I don't have the cancel on your variation. Can I just do forward 1-2 tornado or wall? I think, well, let's see if, I haven't actually tested to see if that combos into tornado.
Oh, it does. Forward 1.
That makes
forward
sense.
1-2?
Yeah. Or forward 1-3.
Oh, yeah.
And a meter burn it. +10. But she needs it.
Honestly, buff Cetrion.
Just buff the crap out of Cetrion, man.
She doesn't need this buff, but definitely, like, playing a lot of Cetrion. Can we talk about Cetrion's up 2?
Oh, dude. Another one of her weaknesses. Her wake-ups aren't the best. In fact, her up 2 is straight garbage. It can't, like, punish things in the way that you're supposed to. Maybe some things, but there's a lot of things that it whiffs on. So if you ever have like a move that you're worried about getting flawless block launched off of, don't against Cetrion, because it'll probably whiff. She'll use a bar and look like an idiot in the process. I've done it numerous times. It's incredibly frustrating. But I mean, it's an area that it gives her a weakness, right? She's very strong in the overall meta of the game. She needs something to be weak at.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, you know, like she's a top 5 character in my opinion, so like I'm never really gonna campaign too hard for like too many buffs, but I will say, just because of the way the up 2 generally works as a mechanic, it is disappointing when you flawless block a string and there's this rush of, you know, knowing the matchup and predicting well, guessing right, and executing that normally comes from, you know, flawless blocking and then doing an up 2 or an up 3. And whenever I, like with certain characters, Shao Kahn is an example. With Shao Kahn, I think the string starts with forward 3. I'm not a Shao Kahn player, so I don't know the string. But it's that kick string that.
Well, the one with
he
the flawless
uses to
block
mix.
on the second hit.
Yeah, it like half the time you can convert your up 2, and half the time it'll just whiff.
Yep.
So I have to up 3 against it. I hate that.
Funny that I've done some testing on that, and For things like that, I think it depends whether you have an open stance or not, which is really something that I haven't used since MK9, because MK9, we have like these 2.5D games or whatever, but there are some moves that would just whiff if you're facing the wrong way. I thought that's why they put flip stance in, to kind of correct that. I've done some testing, and I think that might be the reason why something like that happens, why it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Depends on which way you're standing. That is way too intricate of a detail for me to lab, but I mean, it's there and it exists, so I mean, hey, whatever.
I'm about to go into the practice mode and stance, practice stance switching.
Yeah, there you go, man. That'll be like the new teabag. You'll just stance switching at the end of rounds.
I still need to get the achievement for if you stance switch like some obscene number of times in a match. I think there's an achievement on most platforms.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Okay, back to the strings. Back 3-2 is one that I actually hit against a lot of people. I'll actually sometimes just stagger back 3, and then people kind of start to think it's a poke if they're not too familiar with Cetrion, and then you just wham, smoke them with a string and push it back, and then you're back right in the area that you want to be in. And I think that's the best part about the string. This is exactly where Cetrion wants to be. Where if she moves in with her walk speed, she can start a pressure, blah blah blah. Or she can walk backwards, and you're out of most characters' ranges, depending on who you're fighting, obviously. It changes from time to time. And that's kind of where, like, I think the characters that really challenge her the most are ones that can also compete in this space. Liu Kang is a good example. Actually, Scarlet isn't too bad. But, yeah, back 3-2, that's why I like it, because it gives you perfect spacing. I recommend using it if you can get a chance. Stagger that back 3. Safe. It looks like a poke. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention about the 2-1-3 string, I think everyone here knows by now, but if not, 2-1-3 is a crushing blow and is like the only thing that she has as a launcher if you don't have geyser equipped. So, I try and save this crushing blow for when my opponent doesn't have defensive meter. And this is another, going back to her weakness, you have to like be super meter aware to play her optimally. Like, that's something that's like super annoying that I even have to pay attention to, because there is absolutely zero reason that after this, you wouldn't just air escape. Because the tornado can hit you, but you have to be in such a specific spacing that I have found it so incredibly inconsistent. 4-in-1 tornado does work, I believe. But again, if they do it right away, I believe they can still get out of it. So, if they have defensive meter, and 2-1-3, sometimes I'll just down 2. Just to take my loss. It does more damage anyways. And then they have no meter, and then I play the Oki game. In the corner, she can get big damage off it. I think like 400 and something into restands. I usually end it with this. And you're plus 18, which is pretty much just do what you want. And yeah, so that's the 2-1-3 crushing blow. Any questions, comments from the crowd? It is Frost that requires the buffs, not Codal. Sure. Whatever you say, man. What do you say?
Drummer says bring back 2-2 tick. I agree.
Back 2-2 tick. What character is that?
Oh, for Codal, do you remember a little bit after the Ultimate patch came out, Codal could tick off of back 2-2 because
I remember seeing that. I remember seeing that. They patched that right away.
Yeah, they had to get that out of there. That was such a mess.
Yeah, I saw Mr. Aquaman cheesing people with that for a while. Or the one day that it existed, I think.
It wasn't, yeah, it was not out too long. It was out longer on Steam. They got rid of it almost immediately for console. On Steam, it was out a little bit longer. I tried to stay away from it just because I knew I didn't want to build up any tendencies.
Right.
But yeah, it was funny when that was live for a little bit.
Entertaining. You gotta love them catching those. Like I said, and that's one thing that I give NRS credit for, is they're very, very good at like patching stuff like that really quickly. I remember a competitor found that Kung Lao, I think it was Infinite or whatever, and it was patched the next day. Like, it's crazy. I'm very impressed. We're going down our strings here, guys. Oh, this one here is punishable, but I have never been punished for it. I've literally never been punished for doing this move. I think it's the way that she gets up is kind of weird. How negative is it exactly? -11, yeah. And she's kind of like right in your face, but it's a weird hitbox kind of thing. So I would say every once in a while just throw this out, because it hits a lot of people, and I've never been punished for it. And maybe now that I put this seminar together, everyone's going to go to the lab and learn how to punish it, because everyone's going to be just throwing it out now. That's my theory.
Don't know that I've ever completed that string.
Dude,
History of playing Cetrion.
start using it. I swear to God it works. It hits everybody. I don't know why. I have not a clue, but it works really, really well.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that a try.
2-3-2. This will be your kill their last breath move. It's kind of really the only reason that I use it. I don't really use it elsewhere. There's just, I mean, I get it has good movement and neutral. It's safe at -5. But I mean, there's so many other things that she can do. So I just do it when I have my opponent cornered. And just chip them out. Get them to chip health and find a way to get this move to come out. Chip them. Boop, 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 boop. And she looks very pretty while she spins.
Yeah,
I think
a little fire pirouette.
A little fire pirouette. I think actually it also forces them to get up right away as well. I don't 100% know how that mechanic works, but I remember somebody saying that. It's like a quick get up or something.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I find that a lot of people, because I use that string every so often, just to keep mixing up the strings that I'm using. Sometimes I try to use it, and I found that a lot of folks on Combat League, again, like a lot of folks will just try to throw
right
afterwards. So I've been trying to just get used to micro duck afterwards instead of blocking, just micro duck and go for something new. But I'm still a little inconsistent with that.
Yeah, and I think that's the good thing about strings that are -6 and less. That's when I use it anyways. Is you can get like that guaranteed little micro duck, make their throws whiff, and then hit them with a 1-1, or hit them with a back 3-2, or whatever you want to, basically, because if you whiff a throw and you're out there forever. So keep that in mind. Anything that puts them in their face, it's barely negative. Micro ducks aren't a bad idea. Oh, here's a question. If Cetrion is pressuring you in the corner and you need a quick way to turn the tides on her, why don't you play Shang Tsung, because he is just like Quan Chi? Oh my god, I fell right into that one. Fucking Israfel. That fucking guy. I fell so hard for that. Okay, well, that being said, now I'm... Pop-offs in the chat. Okay, 1-1-3. I don't really know what the point of this move is. There's a low. There's no mix-up there because she doesn't have any overhead, and it's punishable and leaves her right in your face. So I don't use this. Sometimes it comes out by accident when I try and, like, hit confirm 1-1 tendrils. And I like back out and I'm like, oh god, I didn't hit. I'd rather them deal with that on block than tendril on block, I guess. That's my OS. Must be -12 rather than -35. But yeah, I think that's 1-1-2. Obviously one of her better strings. This is the kind of, I throw it out because I have no idea if it's going to hit or not, and I really don't care. It's kind of a brain dead a little bit move. It is -8, so you are definitely giving up your turn afterwards, but it does leave her at nice range, and then a quick little backdash or backwalk here, and you're right back in that region that you kind of want to stay in most of the time. I think that's all of her strings that I covered. I don't think I need to cover a 1-1. It's just a stagger. 1-1, 1-1 tornado, 1-1-2, 1-1 ground pound, 1-1 teleport. Apparently, that's not what I meant to do, but whatever.
I've thought about trying that, but her teleport just recovers a little too slowly. I find that most people can react.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I haven't had much luck. Mind you, I don't really use the teleport in my variations. I should, but I just have so much more fun with Shattering Boulder. I really like that move, which I'm going to go over at some point here. But I have this stock variation, by the way, that we got the ground pound, the tornado, and the teleport. I should have said that at the beginning. On the VOD on YouTube, I'll put this at the beginning. But yeah, so that seems to be the stock Cetrion variation that everyone's using. It seems to be the consensus. Like I said, I trade out the teleport for the Shattering Boulder, and I'll show you some of its uses after this, but yeah, that's it. Okay, so we went through her strings, so it's time to go through her special moves. Baby. This is where she excels. And this is a nerf idea I had for Cetrion, and I think it is a genius idea, if I do say so myself. I would make the natural barrier be an equipped special move, and have the Shattering Boulder be the stock one. Not only would that increase usage of Shattering Boulder, but it would take away all the options. So if you want to have the Rock Wall, you can't have it with the Tornado and the Ground Pound. You'd have to give up one of them.
I just want to go on record and say I'm very against this idea.
That would hurt her a lot. You're playing her.
This would really hurt the variation that I use. So I'd like you to keep your voice down, respectfully.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Anyways, I just want to say that was an idea that I had. Natural barrier, of course, pretty good. Be careful how you use it, and test your opponent to see if they know how to punish it properly. You're using it right in somebody's face, you're going to get smacked. Minus 20. You can kind of space it out a bit to keep yourself safer.
After your death.
And of course, amplify. You do have a crushing blow on it. I think, is it the same as Shattering Boulder, where it's the triggers if a projectile was destroyed while summoning the wall. Okay, so it's different than the Shattering Boulder one, which is interesting. But good space control. Again, works really well if you just want to throw it out and keep some of her strings a little safer. You're still minus 20, but pretty close here. So anyone with like a really long normal, like Cetrion's forward one. Scarlet's standing 2, Joker's standing 2. They might be able to punish it pretty easily. But you gotta test your opponent, see if they know how to do that. There's also a flawless block gap in here as well. So take note, if you're fighting Cetrion, flawless block gap actually causes the loss of pushback, and I believe it makes it more negative. Yeah, negative 14. As opposed to safe, minus 4. So, mind you, that's a bit of a hard read on that one, but practice makes perfect or something, I guess.
Yeah, I would say for anyone in the chat, earlier in the chat, someone mentioned, I'm not scrolling up to see exactly who it is yet, but I think someone mentioned, they were asking about how to best play against Cetrion. I know, you'll be getting to a little bit more of this later, but just like throwing out right now from my experience, people respect Rockwall way too much, as if they're afraid of amplifying. Like, make Cetrion come up off of the meter, because if you let her get away with Rockwalls like so often, I mean, it's minus 20, but it doesn't feel like it for some reason. I think it's just the animation is so quick that a lot of folks don't seem to recognize just how unsafe it is, and they just let Cetrions get away with murder. They let me get away with murder for sure.
Oh, 100%, yeah. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of experience with the ball, because, like, I use the Shattering Boulder, which replaces it. But, I mean, I know enough about Cetrion in general, and I've watched enough tournaments and events and stuff to know that, like, even at a fairly high level, this goes pretty unchecked, until, like, deep into the tournament. So, it's really something that you should try and lab and make sure, because if you don't know it, that just makes this matchup almost unwinnable. She's just got so many options and so many things that she can do with it. You need to show her that you can punish it. Don't respect it.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's really all to talk about. It does absorb projectiles as well. So if someone's trying to counter zone you, you can put the twirl up, eat their projectile, throw one of your own, throw a boulder. Which leads into our second special move? No, not quite. Hell's Wrath is the next one I'm going to go to. This is a good one. Covers a lot of space. Safe as shit from all areas. You have 2 different areas you can put it. Close, far. Amplify pretty much covers the whole screen. Not much place that they can go to kind of escape this. You can use this to keep some strings safe as another option. You're still minus 14, but the amount of pushback makes it almost impossible to punish. Maybe like a Jackie flying punch or something like that, but I've never had it happen to me. Never been punished by doing something like that. Again, uses meter, but I mean, just gotta be careful with it. If you just do it without meter, I have been punished for that before, because you're minus 17, you're right on the ground. So be mindful of that. On hit, this is really good as a restand. Plus 18. It's usually how I'll end like my standard combo, standing 4 into that. either forward 1-3 or forward 2, something like that. Other than that, you can use it if you... The small amount of time that you do want to spend zoning, like, she does have some decent tools for zoning. Like, the only thing that really killed it, like, she used to be... I used to play her exclusively as a zoner before the patch. The only thing that really screwed her out, they made the flawless block window on... I'm not sure if it's general or just for this move, for the boulder, a lot bigger. And flawless blocking the boulder kind of really hurt her setups that she had. So I can't zone as hard, but if you have a really good life lead, you know... Throw in some Hell's Wrath in there, because that's the move I was originally talking about. I squirreled there for a second. Oop. Boulder. Ground pound. Oop. Hell's Wrath. Well, that's that move. Any questions? Shouts to Sergeant Reed! Okie dokie, Smokey.
Yeah, I don't have any questions about either of those two moves.
Excellent. Oh, you can do it in the air as well. I forgot to mention that. Fake a jump in. Psych! Hell's Wrath. Next is the Boulder Bash and the Bouncing Boulder. Bouncing Boulder is hella plus on block if they don't know how to flawless block it. Like full screen. 21. You can actually get it even more than that. 24. That frame traps into your ground pound, which is 22 frame startup. So they have to block that. Test them on that. If there's someone that doesn't know that they have to block that, bam. Boop. Frame trap. So she does have a option to hold the boulder or actually cancel the boulder that you can equip with her, but generally speaking you have to commit to either that or the boulder toss. That has a crushing blow if it catches them jumping, and that's kind of part of what her limited zoning game entails, is trying to frustrate them into trying to jump over a boulder, and then you smack them with this one. Woo! Not only is it a crushing blow, it does 320 damage and puts them full screen again. So then they have to do the whole thing over again. I've had so many rage quits from getting someone to like half health, catching them with that, and they just give up. At that point, they're like, fuck this. I've got like 200 health. I gotta get all the way full screen in Cetrion. No, I'm out.
Yeah, they're like, well, let me save myself the next 20 seconds or so. And
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
quit the game.
The thing about the flawless blocks, it does still make it plus. It's just you lose that you lose the frame trap from it. So 20. So there's still the 2 frames where they could jump or something, but and there's the block stun on it as well. They lose. So it really does hurt her. So if you don't have the flawless block timing down on the boulder, then I would recommend labbing that. And that's actually what makes the Force of Nature variation so strong, is because you can throw off those flawless blocks by holding the boulder for like a split second and then tossing it. And then it completely throws off the flawless blocks. I've only had that really flawless blocks happen really at the really high levels that they're really reacting to when it hits the ground. Is the animation when holding out, picking up the boulder the same or different with the bouncer or the straight one? No, the actual animation, the startup animation is the same. You can't really tell by looking at it which one that she's picked. And that's another thing with that Boulder Cancel that I was talking about. I don't have it equipped, so I can't use it, but you can choose what direction as you're holding it. At one point it was that you had to commit to the straight boulder if you had pressed it. Like if you already pressed forward, you can still hold the boulder until you throw it forward, but you can't switch it back to the ground again. You have to pick one. As soon as you pick one, whether you just release 2 and throw it, or whether you press forward to throw it forward, you have to commit to the choice that you've taken. So, interesting use for that that move, if you want to play her a little bit differently.
Yeah, for anyone and anyone watching who just as an add-on to like flawless blocking the boulder, in addition to reducing the damage a bit and helping out with a little bit of the frame data there, it also reduces the pushback a ton. So it's definitely like you said before, Dick. Like it was a huge nerf to the move and to her zoning capabilities when they made it easier to flawless block.
Big time, man. And that's kind of what actually made me drop Cetrion altogether, was I couldn't zone with her. So I said, well, screw it. My favorite playstyle is zoning, which I choose over playing my favorite character. And now I can't zone, so I'll just go play my favorite character. So now I'm a rushdown boy. Who would have guessed? Okay. So that's boulders. Any questions in the chat about the boulders? No. We good? Sweet. Okay. Earthquake. Boom, boom. Unsafe. Don't commit to it in someone's face. I do this sometimes. I'm like, why did I do that? Not only can they poke in between the hits of the earthquake, but they can just neutral jump, punish you. They can just sit there and block and full combo punish you for as soon as you're done having a little tantrum on the ground here. But if you're going to do it in someone's face, make sure you have the defensive meter so that you can cancel it. No, Li Mei was one of my favorite characters. She was my first main, actually. First main when I started playing competitively. Boulder run whiff. Recovery, minus 78. That's a lot. There are no good zoners. There are zoners if your opponent doesn't know how to fight against you. Like, Cetrion can zone really well if your opponent doesn't know what they're doing. But once you get to someone that knows the matchup, yeah, you can't zone. You gotta go in and kind of play in a little rush down area. That's totally what looks like DDG, just a toddler in a supermarket. Boom, boom. But if you are going to zone with her and you are playing against somebody, mixing up the boulder and the earthquake cancel is actually a really tricky way to zone. There are boulders, throwing boulders, they're waiting for the frame trap. You cancel and they throw another boulder. Because they're either going to jump to try and get over the second hit of the ground pound, which, by the way, you can jump in between hits on that. That makes 100% difference. If you know how to do that against Cetrion, see if I can show you here. Chord. So if you're full screen, there, I got all the way to here by just jumping in between hits of the ground pound. If you're having problems, bam. We're about right here before she recovers, so definitely take advantage of that. If you didn't know that's there, and you just found out right now, you're welcome. But yeah, ground pound is only -4 on block if you cancel it. That's just not what I'm wanting to do. So you can't. That's why it works so well as a 50-50 in here, because both options are safe. 2-1-3 is technically punishable at -9. You definitely lose your turn, but I have never had it punished. So just saying that. Your Sub-Zero, you can empty jump slide punish. I haven't seen that. Should we find out right now? Let's do it together. What else are we doing, right? Freaking Monday evening. Who parties hard on Monday evening? Not me. I don't have to equip slide. It's a move. I always use this move to practice for some reason. It's just really bright. Has interactables I can jump around on. Kind of thing. We're going to be Sub-Zero here. No, so you can't, there's definitely not a way that you can slide punish that. Jump and slide punish that. Not full screen anyways. But if you're up close, there we go. If you're within slide range, it will punish it. Do a short hop though, because it covers quicker. Thanks, drummer. We lapped something. I feel like you went making boulder whiff.
I think drummer's asking about like if you can jump over the boulder and then slide punish, and I think the answer is no because the boulder's projectile speed is too slow.
Yeah. I
think I haven't labbed it.
Let's lab it. Oop. Okay, options, record. Yeah, no, by the time you actually... She recovers about halfway through the jump there. So, doesn't matter who you are. Maybe, like... No, I don't even think Frost could do her little jumping thing. Let's see if you're not full screen. Nope. Nope. Big ol' nope. Okay, we squirreled again. Where were we? Earthquake. I think over the course of this little seminar I've talked enough about Earthquake. I just showed you there kind of how to get around it. Anyone have any questions? Anything else that you're maybe struggling with on Earthquake? If one was trying the gimmick of the ground pound cancel up close, could the opponent have a way to fuzzy or OS a flawless block punish? Or maybe down 3? You wouldn't be able to flawless block, but I think I mentioned earlier that this and this is a true 50-50, but it is 22 frames, so they might be able to react to it if their reactions are on point. But there's no way to OS it. It's either you block high or low. They're both the same amount of frames. Armor Ice Ball for Boulder. Short Hop Earthquake Slide. Okay, I'll let you lab that one. That's a lot.
That is a lot. Wouldn't she just freeze?
I think she would just freeze.
Yeah, so I don't even know if you'd have to do all of that. Once she freezes, you just jump in and then back 1, 3, 4.
Yeah. All you would do, Trevor. Deadly Winds. This is our armor breaking move. So be careful about armor breaks. Mind you, I kind of touched on that a little bit earlier. Boom, boom. It also is safe on block at -3, so she can pretty much use every string to make it safe. You can flawless block punish this if she does a 4, 2, 3. I'm not the greatest at flawless blocking punishes, so I might regret this, but I'm going to try to show you. Oh, I got it first try! There you go. Sub-Zero's isn't the greatest. But yeah, you can flawless block. I'm not going to get it ever again. So be wary of that. Don't let people walk all over you with that move. I mean, that being said, you still have one tornado, which is pretty crazy. And very annoying in the corner. And that would be one thing that I advise you when you're fighting against Cetrion, is to try and avoid the corner. Because it's one of those situations where your options aren't very good. Once you get there, you have options, but you do kind of have to make a hard read against her. And if you're Cetrion, you still want to maintain this balance, but you probably outrange your opponent in that range where they're actually able to counter you, especially with your stupid down 4. So, one thing that people don't think about when they're fighting against a character like this, who is so strong in this one area, if you lose, change the stage. Unless you're on a stage with interactables to get out of the corner, because you can armor these interactables. It's expensive. It takes all your offensive meter and 1 defensive meter, but it's a free way out of the corner. And sometimes that's your only option. So think about that when you're running into a character that's like steamrolling you in the corner. Do I have an escape in this corner? Let's change the stage, and sometimes that's all you need to be able to have an escape to get out of the corner. Which is arguably where she is the strongest, especially with the Deadly Winds. Armor breaker, not the greatest armor breaker mid-screen. In the corner, 100%. You gotta respect it. You gotta be careful about it. But it's generally used to make her pressure safe, make every string safe. You don't really use it as like zoning per se. I guess you could, but it's just a really slow startup. It's easy to hit her out of it. Boom, boom. Plus 10 if she amplifies it, by the way, which is basically like she can do whatever she wants after that. Plus 1, I think, regularly. Plus 2 regularly, plus 10 on hit. 10 on amplify, sorry, not on hit. That's Deadly Winds in a nutshell. Tendril Pull. This is never a move you should just throw out all willy-nilly, all higgledy-piggledy. You want to make sure you hit confirm this. It is your practically only combo extender. This is my combo that I do with Cetrion most of the time. Hit confirm it into that, you're plus 18, do whatever you want. Cetrion is not a combo type character, not unless you equip the geyser, unsafe. But yeah, that's does have a crushing blow if you throw it out randomly and they block late. Let me just show you what that looks like, and you can actually combo it. Back into itself. There you go. Maybe you learned something there, I don't know. I never really throw it out, so I don't really hit that often, but if you do, sure. Her unbreakable damage is among the highest. You're right, I think Collector is one of the few that does kind of beat her in that department, because a lot of his combos stay grounded too. But that's Tendril. That's going to be your combo extender. Doesn't combo off of everything, so be careful, as you saw there. Forward 1-3, forward 2-3 works. 2-1 works, I think. Not much else to say about that move. Moving on. Her teleport. One of the best teleports in the game. Bar none. Actually, Raiden's is better. But besides Raiden's, hers is freaking good. Very little recovery. You can do it far away. Mind you, that is expensive, and that's what I was talking about earlier, that one downside to Cetrion is you have to be very, very good with your meter. And I think that's why I enjoyed playing her for so long, is because I love meter management. I think it's awesome. This game has kind of killed that for me a little bit with the auto regen. I like, finding out ways to build meter in MKX and MK9 and using it very strategically. In this game, you just kind of gotta sit and wait for it to come back. But you can do that, you can do it in front of them, do it behind them. You can do it far away, which I can't because I don't have the meter. Oh, look at that! Now I do, and now I don't again. So if you're getting counter zoned, or something like Rambo's Claymore, this is really handy against. Teleport and punish his ass. Anyone that picks Rambo against Cetrion, though, is kind of got a bit of a death wish, but hey, maybe you're doing the counter pick game backwards.
Yeah, play the game on hard mode.
Right? And that's basically Cetrion. I'm going to show you guys a couple things with the Shattering Boulder. I really like that move. I admit it's not her strongest tool, but the fact that very little people know about it makes it pretty fun.
You will join me after your death.
Thanks everyone for the follows, by the way. I will be putting this back up on YouTube, if you would like to check it out afterwards. Break it down. I'll make sure to put timestamps because it's going to be a long video. Oh boy.
Cetrion. Aaron Black.
Is Scud Shot an equipable move or is it a base move? No, it's equipable.
Shot's base.
It's base? Oh.
Yeah, it's base for Aaron. I think. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, it's not. You're wrong.
What?
You have to equip
sorry,
it.
I just assumed.
You know what assuming does?
What it just did to me.
How did I do? That's pretty much the end of everything that I had to. What did you say, Mr. Toastman? Did you get something out of this? Did it help you at all?
Yeah, I think it's helpful to review. The only other thing that I kind of am interested in looking through is using her standing one to anti-air, because I find that her standing one is one of the best anti-airs in the game.
It absolutely is, 100%.
And I lean on it a lot, but I've been very frustrated at the guessing game I have to play when I anti-air after I connect it, because I'm trying to figure out if they're going to immediately break. Most people don't. Most people break against me after the next hit. So I hit them with standing one to anti-air, and then I'll usually, if they have meter to break, go into forward one tornado.
Right. That's smart. That's probably your safest way of doing it. And that's another thing that makes Tornado kind of a crappy armor breaker is you have to either commit to the combo or commit to the air escape, and it's very apparent to your opponent when you've committed to the combo. So it feels like a pure guess on that regard.
Yeah, you just get punished so many ways for it. You get punished if they break right away, even if you go for forward one tornado. That's unsafe. Like, that's punishable against most people.
Right.
Most people don't break it at timing, but I found that frustrating when that happens. Obviously, when people break after forward one and you went for forward one tornado, it's great and you have them right where you want them. But if you go for the full combo, it's just the worst. You're sitting there like, you made the read, you executed, you anti-aired, and you're eating a full combo punish because they broke before
Yeah,
you grab them with tendrils or something.
Exactly. So that's why usually if I anti-air, I want the damage, I'll just do it down 2. It'll catch them if they air escape. It'll just be regular. Whatever, sure. Standing one down 2, probably the safest bet. That way you still get some damage. I think it actually does more damage than breaking with air escape, but...
I'll do that more. I actually don't use down 2 after I connect anti-airs often enough, so I'll try that.
Her down 2, to be fair, is another one of her weaknesses. It's not very good at all. But again, she kind of needs something, so... Got a good, like, upwards hitbox, and that's same with her, could be said for her up 2. It works really well if people are neutral jumping you and wake up. Wake up 2. That seems to be one of the few uses it has. So I wanted to show you guys this neat little trick. How do I even do Scud Shot? I don't even know how to do Scud Shot. Sure, that looks right. If you hit Shattering Boulder at the right range... Come on. I try full screen because I know that's when it works. Bam! Crushing blows. This is why I love the Cetrion Aaron Black matchup, because they all sit full screen. Trying to freaking Scud Shot something that I do, I just gotta switch it to full screen. Whoops. I'm moved. And then they try and do that, it'll crushing blow every time. I'll show you another trick here. A Shattering Boulder. Bam, so if you're dealing with someone that's jumping out of your ground pound, they'll jump themselves right into a crushing blow. If you cancel into Shattering Boulder. I've hit this every so often. It's a bit of a hard read, but I mean, because you have to commit to it. You just do the ground pound cancel into the mid Shattering Boulder. And they don't even hit the ground and it crushing blows them. It's freaking great. So, Shattering Boulder also works against a lot of projectile parries where it really shouldn't. So keep it in your repertoire. Maybe there's some matchups where you could use it. Crushing Blow is that it hits at max distance, by the way, in case you didn't know that. Which if you're full screen, like full screen, it puts you in perfect... and then the Amplify, boom, boom, back full screen. They get in, they're about here. You read that they're going to roll at you after a knockdown, you put it at a close one. Damn it, that wasn't supposed to Crushing Blow that time. Oops. Get them close, bam! All the way full screen again. Now they have to work their way back in. Blah, 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 blah. Somebody asked if I would play the game more if Quan Chi was in it. I still play the game every day, so probably would play it about the same. Probably dig a little bit deeper though with Quan. I've been very vocal about my views on Quan Chi in this game, so I won't go into that. All of the Cetrion propaganda is still not enough to make me play her though. Fair. Fair, friend. And I think that's it. I will put the field to Mr. Toastman or anyone in the chat that has any more questions about Cetrion, fighting against Cetrion. And then we'll call it a day. We've been about an hour here, so it's good.
Fate has been so cruel.